his sideboard 2 copies of Angel's Serenity and Azorius Charm, 3 Celestial Flare, 2 Dispel, 2 Gainsay, a Last Breath and Negate, and 2 copies of Revoke Existence. Again, a lot of the same things are going to be happening here. Love Dispel, love Gainsay, love the Negate, so that's 5 counterspells he has the ability to bring in. Maybe that's why he was able to tie it up. I mean, I think we're going to see that Aetherling as well. A little bit surprised to see Azorius Charm on the sideboard. Not sure if he's going to want just that cycle effect. And the one card I actually love to talk with Ben about it are the copies of Angel's Serenity on the board, because we haven't seen that for a long time.
Yeah, I imagine this is just the best finisher against decks like monsters and just random aggressive decks in general.
Yeah, I will say Angel's Serenity is a card that you can actually move towards. It's expensive, obviously, but it's a card that Green Monsters doesn't want any part of.
Yeah, it's, you know, a lot of decks, you know, that you expect an Aetherling, you expect Elspeth, Sun's Champion. A lot of decks have game plans or individual cards to fight those things, and the cards that are good against them are often not the cards that are good against Angel of Serenity.
Yeah. So we'll see if maybe Angel of Serenity does pick up a little bit. I'm sure that if people are bringing it in on their sideboards, or even just having that card in their main deck, it's not something that people are going to be expecting for the next couple of weeks. So maybe that's a place that people can get an edge at. We'll see how things end up breaking down over the next couple of weeks here on the Open Series.
The issue with Angel of Serenity, and we've seen it this weekend when we had our Angel of Serenity player on camera, there was an Open a little while ago as well, is that Angel of Serenity is good against big green decks and big red decks, but it lines up so poorly against Stormbreath Dragon that in the matchups where it's best, often tapping out for it is a pretty big liability.
Yeah, it's a little bit ironic that protection from white feels kind of slapped onto that Stormbreath Dragon, but it's not there on accident.
No,
that's for sure.
Definitely matters a lot against Azorius Charm, Detention Sphere, and Angel of Serenity, another card like that.
Yeah. So we do see both players finish shuffling up here, and we'll be underway. This will be the last match of our quarterfinals as we do make our way into the semis. We've already got 3 people through, all green monsters, and we've got this blue-white control mirror. So Silberman with a very, very quick mulligan. Was not happy with that starting 7 at all. Stepka is going to keep his hand.
And these mirror matches of control decks, as they often are a lot about the first person to miss the land drop. As long as you're making your land drops, you're not really compelled to act. The first person who starts missing their land drops is likely to be the first person who needs to start discarding. The first person who starts discarding is the first person who needs to start casting spells. And once you start casting spells into counters, you allow the other player to start resolving things, and there's all these cascading consequences. So Phil, for example, here would love to mulligan into a hand of something like 6 lands is a very good opening hand here in the blue-white control mirror.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. You know, throw in a Temple of Enlightenment in there, and
yeah,
you're good to go. Yeah. You just want to make sure, as you said, don't miss those land drops. That's the key. It always feels like the first person to miss a land drop is the one that ends up losing. It's not a guarantee, obviously, but that's always what it feels like. So he'll be on 6 cards this go around. And obviously mulliganing in this matchup, it isn't the end of the world, you know, because the games are not short. You know, not going to be able to take advantage of a mulligan to 6 or anything like that. And it does not look like Silberman is happy with this one either. And he's going to send that back to 5. Now things start getting a little bit more dicey.
Yeah.
The mulligans may start to take things over here. We'll see what happens. But if you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, Star City Games Open Series here in St. Louis. We do appreciate you joining us early this morning at SCG Live, hashtag SCGSTL for your tweets all day long, as we'll be giving away our premium 3-month giveaway at the conclusion of this match. We'll do 6 months during the semifinals, the full year during the finals. Then we'll be taking a little break before we start our legacy action as players are filtering in here this morning. We have a little bit of a prediction that we might see a 10-round legacy tournament. We will see. I don't think we've ever had a 10-round legacy tournament before, but it would be sweet if it happened here.
I don't know what the record is.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jersey has it.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Somerset has it. Yeah.
So it's probably New Jersey.
Yeah. Tell me more about Jersey.
Oh wow, it was Somerset 10 rounds, 550.
Are you proud? Proud of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually low on the list of things I'm proud of. But yes.
Jersey boy.
Holding it down.
Somerset does do it right. I won't argue. Yeah. I won't argue. So let's see. Temple of Enlightenment's going to allow Phil to keep his 5 cards. So we'll be underway here in game number 3. And we'll see if he can come back from mulligan at 5. I know we saw Adrian Sullivan do it yesterday. It was in a different matchup, of course, but he was able to come back from a mulligan at 5 against Aaron Cook playing Green Red Monsters and win that game before losing the match. So it's not impossible.
Yeah, it's just as long as Phil can just keep making land drops. He's very likely to keep his head above water. That's the thing. This game is likely to go on for a very long time.
Oh, it won't be a short battle. There's a Howled Fountain past the turn back. And that's just a passing the turn, which is not too surprising, honestly, given the fact that Silberman is on a mulligan to 5.
Yep.
Another Howled Fountain from Stepka past the turn back. Silberman does draw Azorius Guildgate and pass back. So he was able to draw a land that turn. And if you're Silberman, you just want to draw running lands, I think. Just as many as you can.
It's surprising now with the printing of Temple Enlightenment that these blue-white lists, some of them, Ben's not playing it, but some of these blue-white lists feel compelled to still play Azorius Guildgate.
Yeah.
I was surprised the mana is still that dicey.
Here's a gain save for Jace. So Stepka puts the shields down a little bit here. And if Silberman's able to resolve Jace's own, he's actually probably doing okay. Maybe he tries to resolve a Revelation for 2, or... Huh? He's going to go with a Needle. Oh, excuse me, Elixir. I take that back. He does have a Needle in his hand, but he plays Elixir. And he does not want to get that countered, obviously. This is a very important part of his game plan. So Stepka does draw a Temple of Silence. He's going to put that into play. We'll see him scry. The other thing to keep in mind, too, is that Stepka had a Dispel in his hand when he cast that Jace, and the mana to actually dispel the gain save, but he chose not to.
Yeah, it makes me wonder maybe if he's trying to set up Elspeth with Dispel backup instead.
Yeah. Here's a Detention Sphere being placed on the stack. It says, I'm going after that Elixir. He says, all right, in response, I'm going to activate this, so you don't get access to that. It's interesting use of the sphere there.
Yeah, I understand in a theoretical sense that, this Elixir is critical to Phil's game plan, but with Phil on 5 cards, it feels a little early to be using that. You may want to hold it for a Planeswalker potentially. Are you really that confident at this stage of the game that the game is going to come down to decking? I'm a little surprised.
There's an Azorius Charm that's going to get cycled. So, Silberman looking for lands, draws a Detention Sphere. Going to pass the turn back. Does have access to 2 blue mana, so shields aren't down. As here's another copy of Temple of Silence from Stepka. You see really the power of Scrylands in this deck. Just the ability to ensure that you just keep hitting land drops in the mirror, fixing everything. Scrylands are just so powerful. As Silberman's going to pass the turn back here, so now we got a Sphinx's Revelation being placed into the stack with that 1 blue mana up yet again.
Of course, this is announcing I have a Dispel.
Yeah. Silberman says that's fine.
I suspect that if Ben had tapped out altogether for this Revelation, that Phil would have fought over it. But since it's very clear that Ben has Dispel and the Revelation is only for 2, Phil's going to just let it go.
Yeah. Island. 1 more land there in Stepka's hand. But we're starting to get into 2 spell range. Or spell plus counterspell plus counterspell. That's exactly what you want to do in a blue-white mirror, just like this.
Yeah. I think that Ben probably wants to just try to exhaust some of Phil's resources with this Jace and to get an opening for Elspeth.
Yeah. I think Elspeth is his path to victory this game. Even though Elspeth isn't great in this particular matchup, the fact that Silberman is on the mulligan to 5 and his resources are a bit exhausted as Jace does come into play, and now you're going to see Silberman try to resolve this Sphinx's Revelation for 2. See if Stepka cares about this. He's got a Syncopate and a Dispel at the ready. Giving away a little bit of information, too, here.
The way he's thumbing those 2 cards back and forth is...
It's something to take note of if you're Phil.
For sure.
As the Revelation does resolve, so he'll get to draw 2 cards, gain 2 life. Looks like he's found at least 1 land here. There is a Plains. Here's 3 mana. D-Sphere will be placed on the stack. Is this worth fighting over? So that's fine. So take care of the Jace. So gets no use out of the Jace here.
Yeah, he had to... I'm not saying he necessarily had to, but he plussed it in the face of that Mutavault.
Yeah. Stepka draws another Dispel. Here's a Temple of Enlightenment. Take a look at the top card. Going to keep that one. Pass the turn back over to Silberman. Silberman draws a Dissolve. He plays a Temple of Enlightenment of his own.
And it feels like Phil's really digging himself out of this mulligan, in part because Ben's not really willing just yet to use any of these counter spells. He's not willing to fight over things like Phil's Revelations, nor is he trying to push through his own threats. That's giving Phil a little bit of time to assemble his land drops in a hand that can fight through some stuff.
This is a rev for 3. Do you fight over this one? We saw Phil let the first one resolve, like pretty, like in the fate, like the spell was being represented and all of that stuff, but we saw him fight over that one. This is a dispel on Gainsay. That's fine. So here's a rev for 3.
And Phil with a dissolve, but he's not. He's willing to hold his one last counter here. He knows that Stepka has an Aetherling in his main deck and an Aetherling in his sideboard, and that just lights out if it sneaks through.
Yeah, those are the things worth fighting over, it seems. There's a Mutavault. The one thing that Stepka has, as far as advantages go, is he's got a lot of counterspells after sideboard.
Yeah.
It's got Dispels, Negates, Dissolves, all that good stuff, Syncopates. Syncopate, a card I don't love in this matchup, but it's so good against Revelation that it's worth having. Looks like we're gonna see a 6-mana Planeswalker here. Yep, there's all 6 mana for Elspeth. Oh, excuse me, Aetherling. I take that back. Here's a Dissolve. And there's a Dispel. And those mana exchanges are so huge.
Yeah, and you can see how critical the land drops are too. Is Ben was able to leverage all of this by the fact that he had more mana. And now Phil's in a ton of trouble. Uncontested Aetherling in the blue-white control mirror. Phil can't even. Normally, the way that you have a chance to beat an Aetherling is with an Aetherling of your own. Phil has none in his 75.
Yeah. He's the Elixir version. He's trying to grind you down that way. You see Jace Architect of Thought being placed on the stack here. And that's going to go down. So here's an island. And Azorius go get and a copy of Opportunity. You see the split of lands versus spells. And Phil wants to take Opportunity, and who can blame him? That card's sweet, but it looks like he's going to take... Is he going to take the lands? He's going to take Opportunity, so lands are going to go to the bottom. There is the Guild Gate. And will he try to cast Needle now? He will. The only counterspell over there for Ben is Syncopate. His hand's actually a little soft given the fact that he resolved some Revelations. 2 small ones, but he's got a Jace and Elspeth with Syncopate. Pass the turn back, so part of Aetherling is solved. As Gainsay comes rolling off the top for Stepka.
It's still a thing in play, and of course there's a risk of that Needle getting Detention Sphere.
Yeah.
And if we go back a little bit earlier to that play where Ben decided to Detention Sphere the elixir, which I felt was a little preemptive given that Phil was on 5 cards, how good would that Detention Sphere be now?
See some mana being added here for Ben. Looks like you might see Elspeth come down now. And we do. So, the Planeswalker is going to make 3 soldier tokens. And the clock is going to begin here.
Board getting a little cluttered here.
Yeah, you see everything get organized. Sphere that did target, the empty sphere that targeted the elixir much earlier in this game. And now here's an attack for 4. Jace is going to bite the dust. But Jace did some pretty good work there. Play the role of a fog, gave an opportunity. See a D-sphere over there in Phil's hand. He's going to try to resolve opportunity now. Unsurprisingly, that's going to bite a Gainsay. Yeah. Don't think you can let that one resolve if you're Ben.
Both players are so low on resources that the opportunity matters. You don't fight over card drawing 100% of the time in the control mirrors, but at this stage with both players very close to empty, it's time.
Yeah. Syncopate is going to take care of the Detention Sphere. Ben using all of his mana on that turn, and now he's got the Elspeth, the tokens, and the Aetherling. So things are really going his way, and now there's a land off the top. Here's Jace. And we're probably going to see a -2 here. Let's see what the 3 cards are. There's a Plains, there's an Aetherling, and there's a Syncopate. Yeah. You see Phil saying, this isn't the best Jace activation I've seen, but it's a weird split. He says, yeah, I guess we'll go like this. Stepka says, all right, I'll take that syncopate so you can't peel Revelation on me. Attack here for 7. That's going to put Silberman down to 18. As Elspeth is going to take up yet again.
Like you mentioned, Syncopate not the most efficient counter spell, but at this stage of the game, with Phil needing to resolve expensive spells to have a shot of clawing back in, is one of the better cards that Ben can find, actually.
I know we watched Adrian Sullivan play. He had access to a Fated Retribution in his sideboard. I don't think Phil, Phil doesn't have one of those. That's the card that gets him out of the situation, I believe.
He does have a Fated Retribution in his main deck.
Okay. It's obviously going to be difficult to resolve through that Syncopate, but I think that's the card he's probably trying to draw towards right now. There's Temple of Enlightenment. He's going to put the top card to the bottom. Still just a Syncopate there in Stepka's hand. For now, as Jace's going to take down, there's an Elspeth, a Negates, and a Detention Sphere. Negates on its own. Negate's going to go to the grip, and now that might be the card that seals it.
Yeah, and it's interesting there. There's an argument there for Ben to take Detention Sphere and try to just Detention Sphere the Pithing Needle and lock it up with Aetherling, but he's so far ahead at this point that he knows the counter spells are the more valuable piece.
Yeah.
We're looking next turn at Ben going ultimate with Elspeth.
See Divination placed on the stack, and Ben thinks for a moment. He says, I'll just counter what comes after that, assuming there is anything coming after. Looks like we're going to see Jace put on the stack here. There's a Syncopate. And that'll get countered. Silberman going to show the 2 lands and extend the hand. So Ben Stepka, after being down a game, he does win. The 2 sideboarded games is going to win this match. So congratulations to Ben Stepka. As we see blue-white control obviously moving forward because we have no choice but to see that move forward. But a big win there as he's able to beat the 2 seed and basically break serve there too.
Yeah, and unfortunately abrupt end for Phil Silberman and Ken Kenner, 2 friends who were the 1 and 2 seed, intentionally drew with each other at 9-0 in round 10 and now both eliminated in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously good runs for both of those guys. It's always